Chapter 076, Anomaly and Assassination. Haisha, Reconnaissance I complete, 3000 XP gained. Harlan snapped awake to the panel's notification. He glanced out the truck window. Dawn was breaking, the sky a pre-light canvas of mixed blues and grays. Having burned the midnight oil crafting new tech, Harlan had only managed 2 hours of sleep. He grabbed his canteen, splashed water on his face. The cool shock jolted him fully alert. He hopped down from the truck bed and entered the makeshift base. Yara, running on fumes after an all-nighter, looked like she was about to breathe her last. Bryce, whose shift was next, was stirring on a nearby couch. Also awake. "How was the haul last night?" Harlan asked. Yara's voice was weak. The bald brute coughed up the names of accomplices holed up in Ravenwood town. "We rounded up a bunch of small-timers overnight, squeezed out the location of Dark Raven Valley base, but they were all fringe players, didn't know jack about the real intel." "So pretty standard fare," Harlan nodded. "Expected. Reconnaissance Roman 2 wasn't going to complete itself. They still lurking around? Yeah, on standby in Ravenwood town." "Pointless to keep them there. Call them back," Harlan stated. Bryce, munching on military rations for breakfast, rolled his eyes. "You forgetting who's in charge here?" He grumbled through a mouthful of dry biscuit. Harlan blinked, feigning surprise. "Wait, I thought you were just here to take the fall when things went south." Bryce choked on his ration, coughing violently, speechless. Before he could retort, Finn walked over. 13 Bureau folks, our people secured the intel on Dark Raven Valley base." "Mission accomplished." Bryce looked stunned. Less than a day and Haisha agents had already delivered. "Impressive efficiency. You're sure you got all the intel on Dark Raven Valley?" Finn nodded. "Wenner and her team even snagged a witness. Our part's done. Pull your people out, let's collate and scrub this intel together, then pass it to the army." Harlan's brow furrowed. No panel notification. Reconnaissance Roman 2 remained incomplete. "Intel's legit, you sure? Spill the details of the op." "Sure thing." Finn gave a concise rundown of Wenner's team's operation. Harlan listened, then paused. "Doesn't that strike you as a little too smooth?" "Maybe, but nothing fishy popped up." "Just means the enemy's sloppy. Relaxed guard. Remember we hit them hard and fast, caught them flat-footed. Still feels off. Doubt is good, but doubt without proof is just paranoia." "Harlan," Finn's tone was firm, dismissive. "Bottom line, we're pulling out tomorrow morning, dawn. We move out together." Watching Finn walk away, Harlan's expression darkened. He was almost certain Finn's intel was tainted, a setup. But going over Finn's account, Wenner and her team, while aggressive, hadn't made any glaring mistakes. Which left only one possibility. Dark Raven Valley base held a deeper deception. Harlan had no concrete evidence. Voicing his suspicion would be dismissed as baseless conjecture. Just like Finn had done, gut feelings weren't admissible in court or in covert ops for that matter. "Guess I'll have to see for myself." Later that morning, Dai-Su and Wenner's teams returned to base, each with their share of captured prisoners and witnesses. Roman, a ranking officer, was Wenner's prize, his intel potentially far more valuable than Dai-Su's collection of grunts. Wenner radiated smug satisfaction. In her mind, this operation was a competition between the two agencies, and Haisha had decisively outmaneuvered 13 Bureau. A sweet victory. The 13 Bureau team bristled at Haisha's gloating. Lyra, irritated, retorted, "Swap our assignments and you'd be eating our dust." Wenner scoffed. "Results are in. Loss is loss, win is win." Harlan stepped forward. "Your intel might be fake." Whether they believed him or not, he had to give the warning. Wenner's smile vanished. "You got proof for that bombshell?" she demanded. Instinct, the all-purpose excuse. The Haisha agents' faces soured as if they'd just swallowed rancid oil. Wenner laughed, a sharp, humorless sound. "Then shut it. Your instinct carries zero weight." Harlan remained unfazed. "And you got proof," he countered. Wenner patted Roman, trembling like a cornered quail. "Haisha, he's Haisha, my proof." Harlan crouched, scrutinizing Roman. Abruptly, he nodded, then stood and walked away. Wenner assumed he'd back down, a surge of triumph washing over her. Heysha, looks like there's a heavy hitter inside Dark Raven Valley. Base Heysha. Harlan's expression was grave. Roman's fear, his desperate will to survive, it felt genuine. The man wasn't a suicidal plant feeding them false intel, which meant only one thing: Dark Raven Valley Base never intended for these low-level officers to know the full truth. The outer sentries weren't just guards, they were bait. Finn's hacked intel was likely sanitized, prepackaged deception. The only way to uncover the truth was to infiltrate Dark Raven Valley Base himself. A plan began to solidify in Harlan's mind, but it would have to wait until nightfall. For now, everyone was focused on interrogating prisoners, collating intel, prepping for tomorrow's dawn extraction. He had one night. Heysha. Night fell, the moon a sliver in a star-dusted sky. Harlan announced to his colleagues, heading to the truck for a bit. No one answered him. Heysha ignored him with contempt. 13 Bureau were too preoccupied to respond. Only Wade sighed. Suit yourself, not like we're holding you back. Harlan nodded, exited the base, and reached the truck bed. He hoisted Lambert's heavy sniper rifle, gathered the necessary tech gear, then locked the truck bed. Scanning the area, no one was lingering outside the base. He turned and vanished into the woods, his silhouette swallowed by the darkness. He wasn't informing his team. Bryce would veto it, would only complicate things. After trekking for the better part of the night, Harlan finally reached his target zone. Equipped with thermal night vision and environmental cloaking, he confirmed no immediate threats. He quietly dug a shallow pit, just large enough to accommodate a person. Pit dug, Harlan opened his toolkit, extracted 4 palm-sized mechanical spiders. He flipped the activation switch. The spiders whirred to life, standing poised before him like a squad of diminutive scouts awaiting orders. Heysha small arthropod detector spider. Miniature insectoid detector. Heysha Harlan's latest fusion blueprint, a practical little gadget. Ears and eyes scattered in the field. Small, stealthy. Remotely controlled, equipped with thermal sensors. When inactive, they automatically sought cover, avoiding heat sources and life signs. Walking surveillance units. With the spider detectors, he wouldn't need to approach the sentry perimeter, minimizing his exposure. Harlan activated his tablet, remote linking to the 4 spider detectors. Cross-referencing their feeds, he quickly pinpointed several sentry positions, mostly nestled beside trees. A mental map of sentry deployment materialized in his mind, and he plotted the optimal assassination route. In the Black Woods, Harlan crawled forward, Lambert's heavy sniper rifle in his grip, targets now within range. Lambert's heavy sniper was suppressed. Despite its devastating kinetic force, the muzzle report was a mere tap, like a finger rapping on wood. In the silent, dark forest, a crack operative within 100 meters might pick up on it, but Lambert's effective range was 800 meters. Harlan chose this weapon for its reach. Remote elimination was cleaner, safer than close-quarters takedowns, justifying his investment in the sniper skill branch. Harlan stilled his breath. Target acquisition through the scope, hundreds of meters dissolved into nothing in his vision. A familiar, confident sensation surged. Crosshair, headshot. Wind direction, 8 o'clock. Wind speed 1.3 m/s, deviation 43 mm. Elevation, lead angle reticle adjusted. Harlan squeezed the trigger. Recoil jolted through the stock. A forceful kick against his shoulder, his hands mastering the heavy rifle with unwavering control. In the thermal scope, the human silhouette hundreds of meters away vanished, its head in a crimson spray of thermal imaging. Chapter 077, Dark Forest Killer. Impact from the heavy sniper round to the head, like a sledgehammer shattering a melon. Flesh and bone exploded outward. Using the spider detector feeds, Harlan shifted positions, maintaining steady shots, systematically eliminating sentry after sentry. Kill notifications scrolled across his panel. Heysha stealth attack critical hit bonus 200%. vital headshot, lethal attack, 190 damage dealt, Heisha, you have slain a budding reconnaissance sentry. 500 XP gained, Heisha stealth, attack critical hit bonus 200%, vital headshot, lethal attack, 201 damage dealt, Heisha, you have slain a budding reconnaissance sentry. 500 XP gained, Heisha. These sentries, around level 10, were basic soldiers, comparable to the guards Harlan had faced escaping the lab. Back then, he could toy with those guards. Now it was child's play. Each sentry neutralized, Harlan banked thousands of kill XP. Heisha Dark Forest killer complete. 18,000 XP gained, Heisha mission completed smoothly. Killing this many sentries, reinforcements were bound to arrive soon. Oh, here they come. Spider detectors registered 3 fully armed rapid response squads. Vehicles approaching at speed. They dismounted and fanned out, launching an aggressive search. Sentries war comms earpieces linked to the network. Silent elimination of one might go unnoticed for a while. But mass sentry silence, that would trigger Dark Raven Valley base's alarm, dispatching search teams immediately. Harlan had anticipated this. Once the search teams discovered the headshot sentries, they'd swarm the area like enraged dogs. Using a spider detector perched high in a tree, Harlan observed the armed squads, Jason's submachine guns, high-explosive grenades, RPG rocket launchers. He abandoned any thought of farming more kill XP. He hadn't planned on a head-on confrontation anyway. Discretion was the better part of valor. Harlan disassembled the heavy sniper, slung it over his back, camouflaged in his foliage-draped ghillie suit. He hunched low, moving stealthily back to the pit he'd dug. He stashed his excess gear in the toolkit, heavy sniper included, dropping it into the pit, but leaving it unfilled for now. Just as he finished, the 3 search squads discovered the headshot sentries, armed guards, assault rifles with flashlights mounted. Cautiously spread out, sweeping the area, a large tree stood beside the pit. Harlan took cover behind it, using the spider detectors to track enemy positions. From his pouch, he retrieved a length of thin, strong steel wire, wrapped it around his gloved hands. Pressed tight against the tree trunk, he held his breath. Waiting, Heisha thump, 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 Heisha footsteps approached, growing louder. Just one person closing in on his tree. Harlan's chosen spot was carefully selected right at the edge of the perimeter. Further out, the enemy would be more dispersed, increasing the odds of a lone searcher. Flashlight beams swept past the tree. Harlan crouched lower, steel wire taut in his hands. Legs coiled, ready to spring like a mantis. The instant the guard's feet crossed the tree line, Harlan moved. A wraith emerging from the other side, he moved fast. Silently circling behind the guard heard his approach, spun around, mouth open to yell for backup, rifle rising. Harlan was faster. Steel wire looped around the guard's neck from behind, tightening instantly, choking off the cry before it could escape. Harlan kicked the assault rifle from the guard's hands, then backpedaled 2 steps, yanking the guard down with the wire. The enemy's upper body slammed against Harlan's knee. Suffocation, pressure turned the guard's face purple. He clawed at the wire, but it was already biting into flesh. Back to Harlan, arms flailing wildly, he couldn't reach him. Eyes rolled back, whites showing. Harlan maintained pressure until the kill notification flashed on his panel. He released the wire. Not a single sound had escaped the guard's lips. Harlan stripped off the guard's uniform. The guard was Caucasian, similar height. Harlan quickly used his knife to trim his own hair, then pulled up the collar, tightened the cuffs, concealing any exposed skin, preventing any skin tone mismatch. He touched his brow, activating the simulation mask. A triangular scanning beam shot from his forehead, sweeping across the guard's face. Scan simulation. Harlan's face rippled, morphed, instantly mirroring the fallen guard's features. His infiltration trump card. He dumped the guard's naked body and discarded gear into the pit. Quickly filled it with loose soil, marking it discreetly. Donning the budding guard uniform, Harlan walked out, head high, as if he belonged. Enemy chatter filled his earpiece. H-103 reporting, Northwest sector clear. H-141 reporting, Southeast sector clear. His replacement's call sign was H-223. Harlan deepened his voice. Mimicking the tone, H-223, sector clear. H-223 voice sounds off, sounded like a superior officer. Throat sore, Harlan rasped, after a show of searching for a while. Harlan was recalled. 20-plus armed guards gathered by the vehicles. No one suspected a thing. The squad leader, a stern-faced man, spoke. Nothing found. Negative, the chorus replied. The leader frowned. Load up, back to base. Harlan's eyes narrowed. Just as planned, he was embedded in the squad, hitching a ride straight to Dark Raven Valley base. Heisha vehicles rumbled into an inconspicuous cave entrance, driving for about 3 minutes before emerging into a vast open space, a hidden parking garage carved into the mountainside. Vehicles halted, guards dismounted. Harlan followed the squad, approaching a seemingly ordinary rock face. The leader reached out, pried loose a rock. The rock was a clever facade, concealing a metal box with a card reader inside. The leader swiped his access card. The rock face rumbled open. Harlan realized the rock face was a massive metal door, painted with a realistic rock texture coating, near-perfect camouflage. Without close inspection, it was undetectable. Weird. This is pretty much what Heisha's intel said. Harlan was confused. These scenes were all in Finn's intel briefing. Accurate details, and matching the screenshots and law posts player had shared back in the day. Why hadn't the panel registered Reconnaissance Roman II complete? What was amiss? Was Dark Raven Valley base at this point in time different from what he knew? Harlan moved with the squad, passing through 2 more checkpoints. Access cards scanned, before finally stepping inside Dark Raven Valley base proper, an underground base, sprawling and secretive. Steel dominated the architecture. Cold gray tones amplifying the austere atmosphere. Winding corridors, numerous rooms. Budding organization members bustled everywhere, seemingly busy relocating supplies. Harlan glanced upwards. Security cameras studded the ceiling corners. He instinctively hunched his shoulders, deep behind enemy lines, solo infiltration. May fortune favor the bold. Infiltration successful. Now what? Wander around? Ask questions? No, questions could blow my cover, and I don't even know what specific intel I'm after. Just luck. No, wait. Reconnaissance Roman II objective is to uncover Dark Raven Valley bases. Heisha-specific intel. Heisha. There must be something Heisha anomalous Heisha here. If the low-ranking officer's intel is bait, then these base members probably are also in the dark. The key is to watch for anyone acting differently. The thought flashed through his mind. Harlan started moving, subtly observing everything. Heisha, 13 sentries sniped. Season frowned. His analysis indicated the enemy, having acquired the fabricated intel from the external network, would believe it. Why target the sentries again? Testing the intel's veracity, these intruders were more cautious than he'd assumed. Season shook his head, dismissive. Still too green. The dual-layered network security was a trap he'd designed as base deputy director, precisely to counter intrusions. Now, it was proving its worth. Purely false intel would raise immediate red flags. To enhance credibility, Season had sacrificed his own people as bait. The external network intel included a portion of truth, the base location, sentry and defense layout from the 3rd to 6th security layers. Truth blended with falsehood, ensuring the enemy would walk right into the trap. The final 2 defense layers boasted tenfold firepower, and there was another ace up his sleeve. The leader has approved the extraction route. Extraction force arrives in 5 days. We can pull out then. Until then, let's give Heisha a parting gift. Budding organization's main power base was on the Andia continent. Hundreds of branches and bases on other continents were mere tendrils, secretly expanding, accumulating capital, becoming covert nails in enemy territory. Not yet time for exposure. Once discovered, the only option was withdrawal, damage control. A single base couldn't withstand the relentless military might of 6 nations. Season was confident in his trap. He dared use genuine intel as bait, even risked base exposure because of his trump card, all outer perimeter personnel. Even the entire base could be sacrificed if needed. It was guaranteed to bloody Haisha badly. Chapter 078, Escape Plan, Multiple Exits Infiltration. The tenser you are, the easier to expose yourself. Harlan, a veteran of covert ops, maintained an air of calm, walking with purpose, attracting no attention. After wandering the base for a while, he gradually grasped its layout. The base was carved into the mountain's core, substantial in size, 5 or 6 times larger than the lab he'd escaped. 2 exits, the main entrance they'd used, and a side door directly leading outside for individual personnel access. For some reason, Harlan sensed anomalies in the base, but couldn't pinpoint them. Most personnel wore grim expressions, a sense of impending doom, rushing to relocate vital supplies. Heard the news? Top brass wants us to pull out. Haisha's onto us, it seems. Command says the Ravenwood town contact went dark. Looks like war's brewing. Rounding a corner, Harlan overheard voices. Several armed guards huddled, conversing anxiously. Spotting Harlan, one called out, "Hey, Talamander, you guys were out searching. Anything turn up?" Talamander was H-223's real name. Caucasian, Harlan kept himself bundled tight in the uniform, obscuring his own skin tone. These guards seemed to know Talamander. Harlan's mind raced. Outer sentries all headshot by sniper fire. No sign of the shooter. My bet's on Haisha. Guards exchanged worried glances. They were armed personnel. Enemy attack meant they'd be on the front lines. Lucky bastards, those desk jockeys. They're getting out first. One guard grumbled bitterly. Harlan's eyes sharpened. Dark Raven Valley base's evacuation was expected. Facing Haisha's regular army, this was just a branch base, impossible to hold out. But evacuation wasn't simple. So many people would leave trails in the forest, easy for Haisha to track. So, some armed personnel would be left behind, a rearguard, engaging the enemy. Buying time for officers, administrators, and vital supplies to escape, critical assets over people. The rearguard, once the brass was safe, would receive their own withdrawal order. The faction mission's ultimate goal: destroy Dark Raven Valley base, including enemy combat strength. Just seizing an empty shell of a base would yield minimal mission completion. A realization struck Harlan. Base knows Haisha's invading. Why not evacuate Haishiralia Haisha? Finn hacked them last night, 24 hours ago. Plenty of time to bug out. Something's off. Just then, a burly figure approached, bellowing, loafing around. No work to do. Get moving, haul those crates. The guards scrambled, stammering apologies. Harlan's eyes lit up. The officer was Dorman, base security chief, a hulking Sanu man, if the base held secrets. Dorman, a core figure, would know. Dorman barked a few more orders, then turned and strode away. Harlan followed, keeping a distance, rounding a corner. He blinked. Dorman vanished in the blink of an eye. The corridor was empty, except for a supply closet. Harlan approached, twisted the closet doorknob. No lock. He pushed it open, stepped inside. Empty, piled with supplies, maybe 100 square feet. No lights, just corridor spillover filtering through the door crack. Harlan frowned. Something was wrong. The supply closet was spotless. Dust-free, no footprints on the floor. Supply closets weren't high-traffic areas. Even 5-star hotels rarely scheduled daily cleaning. These rough-and-tumble budding organization thugs definitely wouldn't bother. Harlan was certain there was a hidden door. Dorman couldn't have vanished into thin air, but he couldn't locate it. What lay behind the hidden door? Harlan coughed, a forced, hacking sound, as he doubled over. He palmed the sole spider detector he'd kept on him, discreetly tossed it into a corner of the supply closet. He quickly exited, found a blind spot without cameras. Retrieved his tablet, activated the spider detector, focusing its feed on the closet. 2 hours. He watched for 2 hours, far exceeding his planned time frame. Mental fatigue gnawed at him, his focus stretched thin. Then, the supply closet shifted. A section of wall slid open, revealing a metal door. 2 figures emerged. Unarmed, likely tech personnel, hidden door just as I suspected. The 2 hurried out of the closet. Harlan quietly trailed them, an idea sparked. He quickened his pace, then deliberately bumped into them from behind. All 3 stumbled. Sorry, my bad," Harlan stammered, steadying them. The 2 muttered it was fine. Harlan circled around them, continuing his tale. In his hand now, a white card. Lifted from one of their shirt pockets, a security access card. Pickpocketing. The universal key. The card looked like a standard ID, but Harlan guessed the chip inside was different, granting access to hidden doors. He shadowed them to the base's side door. They exchanged greetings with the guards, then exited. A flash of insight. Harlan suddenly understood what felt off about the base, the atmosphere. Most personnel were tense, anticipating Haitia's attack, but a small minority remained steadfast, unconcerned, almost confident, a stark contrast to the anxious majority, subtle. Easily missed, the 2 men from the hidden door, they had that confident air. Harlan's eyes narrowed. A theory formed, but he needed confirmation. He approached the side door. Guards blocked his path. No unauthorized personnel beyond base perimeter. Harlan produced the stolen access card. I bumped into those 2 just now. They dropped this. Figured I'd run it back before they got too far. Guards nodded, accepted the explanation, and waved him through. Harlan stepped out. Beyond the base, a forested valley. Dawn was breaking. The 2 men were a few hundred meters ahead, just fading silhouettes. He broke into a run, hearing footsteps behind them. The 2 turned, wary. You dropped your access card. As Harlan drew closer, they recognized him as a fellow base member. Relief washed over their faces. The card dropper patted his pockets, surprised. When I dropped that? Thanks, man. No sweat. We're all comrades in the budding ideal, right? Just doing my part. Harlan smiled, closing the distance. You're a funny guy. One chuckled, reaching for the card. Harlan's smile vanished. He moved like lightning, a brutal uppercut slamming into the man's gut. Force punched through flesh, jarring his organs. The man's eyes bulged, bile erupted from his mouth. Before the other could even gasp, Harlan's hand clamped around his throat. Crushing his windpipe, he slammed the man's head into the ground, 2 swift palm strikes to the neck, knocking both unconscious. Harlan unbuckled his belt, bound the 2 men together, dragged them deeper into the woods, circling wide to avoid any potential patrols, estimating they were far enough from the base. He slapped them awake. They blinked awake, terror in their eyes. You're not base personnel. Harlan drew his folding combat knife, thumbing the blade edge. Threat radiating from his posture. Coldly, he stated, I know you 2 hold intel the rank and file don't. Be honest with me. The 2 swallowed hard. Stammering, low-level guys like us, we don't know anything. Low-level, Harlan chuckled humorlessly. Abruptly he lunged, knife aimed low, at one man's groin. Ayarg, the man screamed, terror-stricken, expecting castration. Then, no pain. He looked down, saw the glinting blade inches from his inner thigh. Plunged into the dirt, millimeters from his manhood. Metal chill resonated through his groin. I know about the hidden door in the supply closet. Spill everything you know, or I'll make you the budding organization's first eunuch. Harlan's voice dripped menace. Eunuch. They didn't know the word, but Harlan's actions spoke volumes. Their faces paled. How did you know about the hidden door? I'm asking the questions. Harlan nudged the knife, blade lightly tracing the man's inner thigh. A silent promise of pain. The man wet himself, literally wet himself. Damn it, my knife. The 2 men deflated. Secret exposed, denial was futile. They stammered out their classified intel. 10 minutes later, Harlan's brow furrowed. So, that's it. Haitian reconnaissance Roman II complete. 8,000 XP gained. Haisha Chapter 079, He's Suspicious. Dawn. Secret base, extraction time. Both teams of agents packed up, ready to leave. Harlan, where are you? Yara hammered on the truck bed door, exasperated. He'd been banging for 3 minutes. 13 bureau agents were already waiting, patience wearing thin. Lyra frowned. He doesn't seem to be in the truck. Where did he go? They exchanged puzzled looks. Last night Harlan said he was going to the truck. Now vanished. What had he been up to? Bryce addressed Wade's team. What are you guys going to do? Wade sighed. We'll stay, wait for him to come back. Is that really necessary? Sue asked, surprised. He's got the truck keys. Wade ground his teeth, veins throbbing on his forehead, close to bursting into dragon-like flight. Faces twitched. Having a teammate like that, luck or misfortune? Bryce's expression soured. He hated mission instability. He'd thought Harlan had a good grasp of the big picture. Blind, he was blind. Agents acting solo were a menace. And he'd be the one taking the blame if anything went wrong. Pain in the ass. Haisha. Meanwhile, Haisha agents observed 13 bureau's actions. Murmuring amongst themselves, someone on their team wants to stay behind. Weren't we supposed to move out together? Finn frowned, approached Bryce for clarification. After hearing the explanation, he returned to the Haisha team, relaying the situation. Who went missing? That masked logistics guy. Harlan, name's Harlan. Haisha. Wenner's face tightened. Yesterday, after we secured the intel, Harlan dismissed it out of hand, no proof. Then he vanished last night. No word, didn't return all night. Suspicious, wouldn't you say? Could he be a spy? Haisha agents exchanged surprised glances. Careful with that talk. Finn cautioned, frowning. He didn't buy the spy theory, but Harlan's actions were certainly questionable. Once we're back at base, we'll report this to the commander. Lay out the facts. Haisha agents extracted, leaving Wade's 4-person team stranded at the base. What's Harlan up to? Yara couldn't help but ask. Lyra rolled her eyes. How should I know? He said nothing last night. Wade shook his head, weariness settling in. That guy clearly doesn't see Haisha as the team leader. Does he? Haisha. Hours later, both agent teams were back at the border. Wenner and Finn immediately sought out Kelt, filing their report. 13 bureau agent missing overnight. Kelt paced, brow furrowed. Confirmed. Wenner nodded. Left without a word last night, right after we got intel on Dark Raven Valley base. Finn added, suspicious, yes, but doesn't necessarily mean he's a spy. Kelt nodded slowly. I'll check with Star Stream about this. Intel first. Wenner. Our witness is on the polygraph. Confirmed everything is truthful. Finn personally hacked their network. Intel source is solid. Kelt's gaze sharpened. Deploy immediately. Delay breeds opportunity for them. Finn hesitated. Army deployment. 13 bureau teams still near Dark Raven Valley base. They'll be in the crossfire. Kelt waved it off. Strategic objectives outweigh a few Star Stream lives. Non-national, loyalty is always questionable. Simultaneously, Harlan, after a wide detour, finally returned with his 2 prisoners, bypassing all sensors, patrols. A grueling trek, pushing him to the edge of exhaustion. These 2 deadweights lacked environmental cloaking. Hours spent navigating around patrols. Lucky they were tech guys, familiar with sensor and minefield layouts, providing crucial intel. Otherwise, quiet exit would have been impossible. They'd tried a couple of times, subtly leading Harlan into patrol zones, hoping to expose him. He'd seen through it, punished them harshly, and they'd fallen in line. Obediently following, sun high overhead, Harlan checked the time, sighed. Damn it, overshot my window. Everyone's probably extracted already. He dug up his toolkit. Retrieved the comms, contacted Wade. Yo, Yangtze, this is Yellow River, over. Yellow River my ass. Wade's exasperated voice blasted in his earpiece. Where the hell you vanished to? Ghosted us all night. Everyone else extracted. We're stuck at base waiting for you. Yeah, you owe me big time. New gear. Lyra cut in, her voice tight with indignation, pouty even. Wait, kind of cute, Harlan shook his head, refocusing. Cut the crap, guys, got intel. Big intel. I infiltrated Dark Raven Valley base, discovered classified info. Wade's tone shifted, serious. Stand by, patching you through to Staff Officer Kai. Haisha border military camp. Bryce took the call. Wade, what's up? Harlan back. He needs to talk to you, Bryce grumbled. He better have a damn good explanation. Harlan's voice filled the channel. Got classified intel. Dark Raven Valley base, two-tiered structure. Outer base. Work zone for the outer circle. Inner base, core member zone, deeper in the mountain. Outer circle completely unaware of the inner base. Intel on the inner base top secret even to most of their own. Inner-outer base passage can be sealed off, locked down at any moment. Interrogating the two prisoners, he'd learned about the two-tier structure, the deeper. Secret inner base stockpiling vital assets, the true core. Base command hadn't disclosed the inner base's existence to outer personnel, classified even to most of their own. Even veteran players back in the day hadn't known about it. Inner base connected to multiple extraction routes. Core members could vanish without a trace. Rabbit Run, 3 burrows deep. These escape route locations were top secret. Even base leadership wouldn't know which route the brass would choose until extraction. Bryce instantly grasped the intel's value. If Haisha didn't know about the inner base, Army breaching the outer base would be a hollow victory, a false sense of accomplishment before withdrawing. Meanwhile, the enemy core force would be untouched, inner base intact, ready to relocate and resurface, an even more covert threat. Bryce was stunned. Harlan's unauthorized solo op actually paid off. Big time, critical intel, still, gotta hammer home the point, unauthorized ops are bad, MK. Hold on, patching you straight to the commander. Bryce requested an audience with Kelt, stopped by the adjutant. 5 agonizing minutes later, he was granted entry. Stepping into the office, Finn and Wenner were already there. Kelt gave Bryce a curt glance. Something to report. One of my agents acquired classified intel. Needs to brief you. Harlan, yes. Bryce nodded, oblivious to the strange looks Wenner, Kelt and Finn exchanged. Kelt's eyes flickered. Speak. Harlan repeated his intel over the comms, ending with, rushing an assault, you'll just take an empty shell. Recommend delaying action. Let our people scout enemy extraction time and routes. Map the inner base layout, intercept their extraction force directly, avoid head-on assault against their defenses, minimize casualties. Kelt listened. Expressionless, abruptly he demanded, where'd you get this intel? I infiltrated Dark Raven Valley base, disguised, captured 2 inside personnel. Kelt's voice boomed. You're lying. Kelt saw no way Harlan could have infiltrated. Disguise, ridiculous. Crafting a realistic skin mask took at least half an hour. He couldn't know what kind of enemy he'd encounter. Impossible to prep a mask in advance. Paradoxical, like little Johnny climbed a tree, realized he was too high. Went home to get a ladder, then climbed down. Logic fail. Harlan blinked, realized they didn't know about the simulation mask. The mask's capabilities were his trump card. Classified, he wouldn't reveal it, but that left his infiltration explanation lacking. It's my ability. Harlan could only offer a vague answer, unless you demonstrate it. It's worthless. Kelt's face was ice, suspicion hardening. This guy, definitely suspicious. Chapter 080, bold action. Harlan's brow tightened. Got any proof to back up the intel? Bryce jumped in, trying to diffuse the tension. He trusted Harlan, but Haisha, different agency, inherent trust deficit. Harlan paused. I captured 2 prisoners. Polygraph them, you'll see I'm not lying. Kelt's eyes narrowed. Bring them in then. Bryce breathed a sigh of relief, curious how Harlan infiltrated. Sure, but he chose to believe it was Harlan's special skill set. Good thing there were prisoners as proof, validating Harlan's claims. But after hanging up, Kelt summoned his adjutant. Coldly he ordered, issue the command, Army advance, target, Dark Raven Valley base. Bryce froze, stunned. That wasn't the agreement. Kelt brushed off the objection. Waiting for Harlan to bring in prisoners would take hours. If Harlan pulled a no-show, more time wasted. If Dark Raven Valley personnel extracted in that time, the army would miss them. As commander, he wouldn't alter his plan based on unverified intel. He trusted Finn's intel more. Witness, evidence, reliable source. Kelt reasoned, even if Harlan was telling the truth, early deployment wasn't a loss. Harlan could still bring his prisoners rendezvous, only difference. Early deployment would push Dark Raven Valley base into full combat mode. Harlan's team would be in danger, but lives of a few Star Stream agents, irrelevant. Even if they died, Haisha Brass wouldn't care. 13 Bureau complained, someone else would handle it. Harlan had flagged in a base intel. Kelt didn't care if Harlan could prove it or not. Taking Dark Raven Valley base, he could verify the lead later. Bryce exploded. My people are still near Dark Raven Valley base. You're moving in, you're putting them in danger. Kelt's tone was dismissive. Battlefield opportunities are fleeting. Can't delay for a couple of agents. As agents, they should prioritize the bigger picture. I'm sure they'll understand. I don't agree. Bryce's face contorted with rage. Irrelevant. Kelt pressed the buzzer. A squad of soldiers stormed in. Rifles leveled at Bryce. Kelt's voice was icy. Escort our Star Stream friends to a vehicle. They'll be departing with us. Confiscate all comms. I don't want them contacting anyone. Leaking our movements. He emphasized friends, sarcasm dripping. Bryce trembled with fury. How did it come to this? Finn sighed, helpless. Harlan's caution. Kelt's aggression, both had merit. But Kelt was commander, Harlan just a subordinate, and not even Haisha. When I watched, a cold smile playing on her lips. Haisha, comms cut. Harlan's face hardened. He had a sinking feeling. Kelt, an aggressive commander, likely to deploy prematurely. This guy's rushing things. Harlan exhaled, frustration heavy. Time was running out. Mission success hinged on him, alone. Inner base existence confirmed. But extraction routes and timing unknown. More intel needed. Infiltration again, but not him. For his plan, another infiltration wasn't optimal, the best candidate. Yara, a hacker inserted into the enemy's system, like a virus, ready to cripple comms at the critical moment, blind and deafen the enemy. For that, he needed masks of the two prisoners. The truck bed lab had molds, makeup tools, masks ready in an hour or two. Decision made. Harlan rallied his flagging energy, willpower overriding physical exhaustion. Dragging the two prisoners forward, afternoon arrived as he reached the secret base. Waiting team rushed out to meet him. You okay? Yara hurried to support the near-collapsed Harlan. Harlan shook his head. No time to waste, listen up. Masks of these two. Now, Yara, Lambert, infiltrate inner base, use their access cards, details later. Yara paled, voice trembling. Zyro, Harlan, I have no spy training. Anyone else, please? You're the hacker. You go to hell or who will? Yara froze. Let me go instead, Lyra volunteered, eager. Harlan glanced at her, immediate headshake, no hesitation. Lyra bristled. What's that supposed to mean? You looking down on me? Harlan pointed at her chest. Too big, hard to bind. Lyra petrified. Yara grabbed Harlan's sleeve, hopeful. Harlan, you coming with us? Me? No way. Too damn easy a mission, no challenge at all. You totally just blew your cover, didn't you? Lyra and Yara mentally screamed. Wade spoke up. I'll go. Harlan shook his head. No can do, you out, no one to pilot the armor. Oh, right, and you're the team leader. You do remember I'm the leader. Wade chuckled wryly. Ever since Harlan showed up, his team leadership had become increasingly symbolic. Choice made. Harlan pointed at Lambert. You're up. Beaterman, Lambert. We're doomed. Yara groaned, despairing. Lambert, expressionless, backhanded Yara's head, expressing his displeasure at Yara's implication. What? My treatment compared to Harlan's, is that different? Haisha team worked in the truck bed, applying makeup, creating masks, driving in circles. closing in on Dark Raven Valley base, minimizing the infiltration team's travel time. Truck stopped just outside the perimeter, hour and a half later. Lambert and Yara, masks complete, near identical to the prisoners, micro earpieces tucked in their ears, prisoner access cards in hand, headed for Dark Raven Valley base side entrance. Yara's voice weak in his earpiece. "Harlan, are you sure about this?" Faith moves mountains. Yara choked, blood threatening to burst from his throat. He looked pleadingly at Lambert beside him, whispered, "Uncle, you scared?" Lambert, calm, replied, "Mission first. Even a sliver of chance we take it." Harlan's voice, applauding, "Well said, high party spirit that." Lambert. They reached the side entrance. Yara's teeth chattered, nerves frayed. We gonna get caught?" Lambert laid a hand on Yara's shoulder, low voice, firm. "The more nervous you are, the easier to expose yourself." Yara steadied himself. Swiped the access card, gate opened. Guard glanced over, access card clear, waved them through. Following instructions, they reached the supply closet. Hidden door, access card reader. Prisoners' cards worked. Hidden door slid open, revealing a metal corridor, long corridor, 10 minutes walk, finally leading to the true inner base. More heavily fortified than the outer base, tighter security. Walls lined with monitors, personnel bustling, relocating supplies, files. They exchanged glances. Deep in the enemy's belly now, suddenly, ear-splitting alarm sirens blared through the base, lights flashed red. Yara jumped, heart leaping into his throat. Convinced they were busted, Lambert's brow furrowed, hand on Yara's arm, low voice, "Calm down, not us." Inner base personnel murmured, confused. "What's happening?" "Enemy incursion." Season stepped out, calm amidst the chaos. "Quiet, everyone." Haitian border army deployed, heading for the base. Outer base armed personnel. "Reporting to defense lines, we'll hold them for a while. We prepare for extraction." Yara's face drained. Urgent whisper into his earpiece, "Guys, get out now."